Hey everyone, welcome. All right, today we're jumping straight into the absolute fundamentals of programming, how Python deals with text and numbers. These are the building blocks for everything else, so let's dive right in.
Have you ever wondered how a website like Gmail just knows you? When it says, hey, Amin, how does it actually do that? Well, the secret is all about how computers store and handle little pieces of information, and we're about to pull back the curtain on how that works.
So, to get how Gmail works its magic, we first need to talk about a super important concept: data. And honestly, don't let the word scare you. At the end of the day, data is really just information, and Python needs a way to hold on to it. The easiest way to think about this is to imagine filling out a form online. You see that little box labeled username? That's the variable. It's just a container, a label. And whatever name you actually type into that box, well, that's the value. It's that simple. We use variables to label and store information so we can find it and use it again later. Okay, so for what we're doing today, we're going to focus on two main kinds of data. On one side, you have text, things like names, messages, you name it. In the programming world, we have a special name for this. We call it a string. Then on the other side, you have numbers, ages, prices, whatever. And trust me, it is absolutely crucial for Python to know the difference between the two. All right, so let's tackle text first. This is probably one of the most common types of data you'll ever handle, and like we said, in Python, it's called a string. So what makes something a string? It's really any sequence of characters, letters, numbers, symbols, whatever, as long as it's wrapped up in quotation marks. You should think of those quotes as a giant sign for Python that screams, hey, this is just text. Don't try to do any math with it. Just treat it as is. And here it is, the classic, hello world. This is pretty much the first thing everyone learns to code. And it's a perfect, simple example of a string. Notice those quotes, bookending the whole thing. Or how about this one? It's a full sentence. It's got spaces, capital letters, a period, doesn't matter. As long as it's all inside those quotes, Python sees it as just one single piece of text, one single string. Okay, quick pop quiz for you. Take a look at this. Is 299 a number or is it text? This one trips up so many people when they're first starting out, so take a second and really think about it. It's a string. And why? Say it with me, because of the quotation marks. To Python, those quotes are the only thing that matters. And hey, if you're ever in doubt, Python has this awesome little tool called the type function. You just wrap it around your data, and boom, it'll tell you exactly what you've got. In this case, str, which is just short for string. Okay, but what if you've got a whole paragraph to write? Normal quotes, the single or double ones, they need to stay on one line. But that's where this neat little trick comes in. Triple quotes. You use 3 of them at the start and 3 at the end, and suddenly you can write text that goes on for multiple lines. It is incredibly handy. Okay, so that's text, that's strings, check. Now let's switch gears and talk about our second data type, numbers. This is where we get to turn Python into a seriously powerful calculator. Now, the basics here are probably going to look super familiar. You've got your plus for addition, minus for subtraction. The only slightly weird ones might be the asterisk for multiplication and the forward slash for division. But honestly, you'll get used to those in no time. But hold on. What happens when you've got a big, messy equation with all of these mixed together? How does Python know what to do first? Well, good news. It uses the exact same rule you probably learned back in math class. PEMDAS. It always does parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division, and finally addition and subtraction. No surprises there. Okay, so we've got our two worlds, right? Text on one side, numbers on the other, but the real magic, the real power, happens when you start blending them together. How do you actually put the answer from some math inside a sentence? The absolute best, most modern way to do this in Python is with something called an F string. The F stands for formatted. And trust me, these things are a game changer. They're like these super-powered strings that let you just drop live code right into the middle of your text. Okay, so let's look at how this works. See that little F right at the very beginning, before the quote? That's the secret key. That's what turns a regular string into an F string. Then anywhere inside, you can pop in these curly braces, and whatever Python code you put inside them, Python will actually run it. And here's what Python does behind the scenes. It looks inside the curly braces, does the math, 28 divided by 7, gets the answer, 4.0, and then it just sticks that result right back into the sentence. Pretty cool, right? And notice it gave us 4.0. That number with a decimal is what we call a float in Python. But hang on, 4.0 in dog years sounds a little robotic. What if we just want a nice clean 4? Well, we can do this thing called casting. It's like telling Python to change the type of data. By wrapping our math inside int, we're basically saying, hey Python, I know this might end up as a decimal, but do me a favor and just give me the integer, the whole number part.
And just like that, look at the new output. Isabel is 4 in dog years. Perfect. This little int trick gives you so much control, and it really shows you how flexible and powerful f-strings are.
All right, you've seen variables, you've seen strings, numbers, and f-strings. You have the tools. So let's put it all together and see what you've learned with a quick challenge.
Okay, here's your mission. The goal is simple. Convert 6 feet into meters. We've even got the conversion factor right there for you. Your challenge is to write one single f-string that does the math and prints out the answer in a complete, readable sentence. Go ahead and pause right here, give it a real try. Seriously, think about it. You now have the absolute core building blocks for pretty much any program you can imagine. You can work with text, you can do math, and you can combine them. So the only real question left is, with these new powers, what's the first thing you're going to build?